What's up, y'all? Hey, it's DJ Slivka with the Slivka Property Group with Keller Williams in Johnson City, Tennessee, your Northeast Tennessee relocation guide. If you're watching this video, you probably have heard something about DR Horton. I've put together a lot of information. Make sure you stay with us the whole video because at the very end, I have put together all my clients' information and feedback about their experience with DR Horton. And it's going to be really interesting. I have both grading scale numbers on 1 to 10 about what they thought about the home, the process, the warranty, and then also some feedback they typed in. Completely anonymous. I have no idea which client said what, but I think it's really key and really crucial for you to know this information. So let's get started. So before you guys watch this video, there's one thing I need you to understand. I am not wanting to sway you one way or the other. If you get on the internet, there's a lot of really diverse information about DR Horton. It's very extreme. Either people are completely okay with it or they believe it's the worst thing in the world. I'm here to bring you local information from my clients who have bought and lived in DR Horton homes, to bring you information about neighborhoods they have here locally, what they are planned on doing, what finishes you can expect in the homes, and the overall process here locally in Northeast Tennessee. I can't comment on anything out west, in the southern states, in Texas, anything like that, because I don't know anything about that. I'm a realtor in Northeast Tennessee, and my job is to bring you the information here locally so that you can make the best decision if these homes are something that you're interested in. Or I can bring you information that will completely wipe them off the list as far as something for you to look at. DR Horton has no idea that I'm making this video. They have not given me any information. They have not provided me any sort of feedback. They haven't said anything. I am making this on my own to give you information. First of all, let's answer the question, who is DR Horton? Is DR Horton a doctor? Well, let's put this to bed really quickly. And although that is completely satirical, a lot of people think sometimes, especially locally, that DR Horton is a local doctor that has put together homes and neighborhoods on old farmland, and that is simply not the case. DR Horton is America's largest home builder. So the question is, who owns DR Horton? Is it one person? Is it a family? No, it's not. It's a publicly traded company where 90% of the owners of the stock are institutional investors like BlackRock and different firms like that. The point I'm trying to make is that this company is here to make a profit. Let's remind ourselves of that. Just like any home builder, this is not abnormal, but these homes are built to create a profit for the company. So while DR Horton is a home builder, they also have subsidiary companies, DHI Mortgage, DHI Title, and DHI Insurance. So you may ask yourself, why would that be? Well, they have created an umbrella of companies that they are going to use throughout the home buying process. So first of all, obviously the home builder, they're going to be the ones that go throughout the whole process, work with the subcontractors. Every neighborhood has a foreman or a project manager, and then there's assistant project managers throughout the process and throughout the neighborhood. But they also have a mortgage company. A lot of times we'll see that the mortgage company offers up incentives to work with them. Locally, we'll see that sometimes they pay a portion of your closing costs. And although that may vary for specific neighborhoods and amounts, I have closed deals before where that has happened. Also, there's DHI Title. So the title company is who does the title search, who prepares the deed, and who files it. So obviously, if they're gonna close close to 85,000 homes a year, it would make sense to own the title company where the closings are gonna happen. And finally, there's DHI Insurance. So they are an insurance broker that offer up insurance solutions for you. Now, they never say anything about you having to use these people to write an offer or purchase one of their homes. However, they create strong incentives in addition to the incentives the builder gives you related to price. And so we'll get into the incentives later on in the video, but that is something I wanted to bring up, that this one company, DR Horton, has 4 different companies underneath it: the home builder, the mortgage company, the title company, and the insurance company. So let's just do a quick statistical overview. So how many homes does DR Horton sell on average every year? So the last fiscal year, they sold just over 84,000 homes, and with about 4 million being sold nationally, they control about 2% of the market. So locally in the past 12 months, they have sold 404 houses, and with just roughly over 8,000 homes sold, they control roughly 5% of the market here in our MLS in Northeast Tennessee. One note I do want to make about our local data is that often when they close a home, if they don't have it listed on the MLS before it's under contract, sometimes it doesn't go to the MLS. So frankly, what that means is that there are probably more homes sold locally than what is reported in the MLS, because they just frankly put things out there so quickly and people put contracts on them that they don't even get it in the MLS before it has closed and the new owners move in. So currently in our market, how many DR Horton homes are for sale? Well, just this morning, and this video is in the early parts of 2026, there are 160 homes active in our MLS where DR Horton is the listing agent or the owner, the builder. So basically 160 homes right now for sale by DR Horton. And then let's take the total number of residential homes for sale locally, and that's right at 1,600. So basically right now, 10% of the active inventory is DR Horton. So while DR Horton has closed different communities here locally, they are currently selling in 12 different neighborhoods here locally. Near the Morristown area, we have Millstone Village, which is directly in Morristown. We have Battle Creek, which is in Jefferson City. We have Creekside Ridge, which is in Dandridge. And then kind of further east, we have Johnson Farms in Greenville. In Johnson City, there's 3 different neighborhoods that they are currently selling in: Beechwood Meadows, Archers Point, and Keebler Meadows. In Kingsport, there's 3 different neighborhoods that they're selling in: St. Andrews Garth, the Polo Fields, and the Arbor, which is exclusively townhomes. In Bluntville, they have Fieldcrest Acres, and in Bluff City, they have the Hideaway at Fox Meadows. And new neighborhoods they have planned for 2026, they have 2 different ones planned: Warren's Way in Jonesboro, Tennessee, and Yorkshire, which is in Gray, Tennessee. So looking on the internet, I wanted to bring you information nationally about the customer satisfaction for DR Horton. JD Power is a source that provides quality ratings for different industries, and within those industries, different businesses. According to JD Power, DR Horton has a high grade among builders as being a quality builder overall. According to the website Trust Study, DR Horton, though, has a low to medium trust satisfaction rating. And all these links can be found in the show notes and on our blog if you want to read further. According to Trustpilot, they have a 1.5 star out of 5-star rating nationally. And according to Consumer Affairs, they have a 1.7 out of 5-star rating, and that's with over 1,700 reviews submitted. Now again, this is nationally, this is not locally. There is no local builder satisfaction for DR Horton. The only information I can bring you is from the feedback that my clients provided, and I personally, as of the taping of this video, have sold 7 homes here locally in my over 4 years in real estate. So regarding customer satisfaction or dissatisfaction, what are the common complaints? The ones that are cited the most are warranty follow-up and the quality of the build and the craftsmanship within the home. And in the show notes, you'll see the link to the reviews there. And the third most cited was communication between the building department and the actual home buyer. So this is a really big point to bring up, that if you are looking to work with DR Horton, you are going to call one of their sales reps. I'm going to ask a question to you really directly. Who does that builder sales rep work for? Do they work for you or do they work for the builder? I'm not making a statement whatsoever about the quality of the person you're working with because they are a licensed realtor. I'm merely asking you a question. I'm also going to pose another question. Would it make sense to have someone representing you throughout the process? If the answer is yes, and you are interested in these homes, feel free to reach out via DM, email, text message, phone call, whatever you may see fit. But I highly encourage you that looking into these homes, getting someone to work for you as your designated agent is definitely going to be a very good option. So local headlines, there really isn't a lot of information here locally about DR Horton and feedback. Now, if you go to Reddit or local Facebook forums, you will get a ton of information. That is not something I'm willing to cite here in a video that I'm making. I would really more so go to trusted, valid sources from local news stations, etc. So the only thing I could find and bring to you was that there are site plans being approved and general consensus about where new neighborhoods are going to go. So now let's get into pricing. So why are people picking DR Horton homes over resales? The absolute answer will always come down to what you get for the price. There's pros and cons to that, and we'll go into that later on in the show. And also, just as a reminder, we will have feedback from my clients who have bought and lived in DR Horton homes at the very end. But I want to get into the pricing for what one home DR Horton has built with the bedrooms, the bathrooms, and the square footage goes for brand new, and what a resale home may go for with the same specs, with the same details about the house. So right here, we're doing split screen right now. We're looking at a 4-bedroom, 3.5 bathroom home. This is a brand new build. It's 2 stories, just over 3,000 square foot, 3,122 square feet. So the price on this one is $407,000, 165, or 130 a square foot. Now, as a realtor, I will always look at various different ways to price a home. Square footage is not the only be all say all, because if that was the case, everybody would just tack on extra finished square footage to their home and voila, homes would be worth more, correct? But in a neighborhood like DR Horton builds or other builders like that, there is a lot of uniformity. So price per square foot does apply in those settings if you take out various different improvements like pools, fences, playgrounds, etc. So looking at this home compared to this other home that we are pulling, which is currently active on the market, this home that we're showing is a 4-bedroom, 3.5 bathroom home, just like the DR Horton build. It's 2 stories, just like the DR Horton build. It is just over 3,000 square foot, 3,235 square feet, and it's listed at $639,900, or roughly $198 a square foot. While DR Horton's home was built in 2026 in a brand new neighborhood, this home was built in 1987. So we have 2 similar homes. Finishes are different throughout, of course, but we are talking about square footage and what you're gonna get for your dollar. So the answer becomes very clear very quickly if you have a lot of people living with you, or if you are someone who values having a move-in ready home that you don't have to do a lot of upgrades to. The answer may be clear that looking at something like this or another build in the area may be something that makes sense to you. Now, I will tell you, when you look at new construction in Northeast Tennessee, DR Horton will be the absolute cheapest option. There will not be another builder who will be anywhere close to their pricing. So early on in the video, we talked about the incentives they offer through DHI Mortgage, but I wanted to get into the details. So one of the main incentives they offer is $1,000 off the sales price. And while you may be watching this video, I'm only commenting on what previously has happened. I can't say if that's happening currently, but for previous veterans, frontline care workers like nurses and first responders, they do give $1,000 off the sales price. You do have to let them know, but they do give that off the sales price. Through their mortgage company, and again, this is not always, and the numbers change in various different neighborhoods, but they do pay a portion of your closing costs, sometimes as high as $10,000. So closing costs, just generally putting it out there, is 3% of the sales price. So if you're looking at a home that's around $300,000 and your closing costs are $9,000, they may cover up to all of those closing costs for you. And we have seen sometimes they offer rates below 4%. This is here locally. Now, a couple things to dive into that. Those are adjustable rate mortgages. So they do have a 5-year term. So that means at the end of 5 years, that rate changes and you'll have to speak to the specific lender about how that works. But sometimes it does go to the market rate. So if your rate is at 399 and after 5 years, it goes to the market rate and the market rate is 8%, well, that rate is now 8%. Your mortgage has just jumped up almost double potentially the payment. So that's something to remember. If you're going to be in this home for a short amount of time, 2 to 3 years, that may make perfect sense. If you think you're going to stay in this home longer than 5 years and you get a 5-year adjustable rate mortgage, again, I'm not a licensed mortgage broker, but I know enough to be dangerous. And the logic says if you're going to be there less than the time frame that the adjustable rate mortgage has, that may make sense for you. So what I want to bring up right now, and we're going to go split screen again so you can see some of the finishes in the home. The paint color is very neutral. The floor coverings, they're also very neutral. Wood tones, they're warm. Durability, I would say, is moderate over the course of time. It is not something, if you have a lot of kids and a pet like me, that you are going to count on to withstand the test of time, but it is better than the cheapest version for a floor covering. The carpet they use is, again, very builder grade, very normal. It will not stand the test of time. I have 4 young kids. I have builder grade carpet in my home. It's time for my house to get new carpet. That's just something we knew. So again, all these points I'm trying to bring up in this video is to let you know that there are pros and cons to this. If you know what you're getting, You should not be surprised in this situation, and that's what this video is for. I don't want anyone who buys these homes and watches this video to be surprised with what they're getting. At the very high level view of it, you're getting a lot of house for a really low price. So looking through these photos, you could see that the finishes in the bathrooms and the kitchen, albeit they do have stone in the kitchen and in the bathrooms, but some of the floor is linoleum or roller floor as I call it, and the fixtures are very basic. In general, DR Horton is going to give you a very bland vanilla home that you can improve and make better. And later on in this video, we'll talk about resale value, but it is in your best interest to improve this home and make it your own and put specific, very stylish custom finishes on there to elevate the home. So one thing that DR Horton does for basically every neighborhood they do is the lot size. They purchase land. They're a huge purchaser of land nationally and here locally. They have a whole department that their job is to go out there, find land, talk with contractors who can improve the land, make it ready, put the rough-ins in, and get it ready for site prep. Their goal is to put as many houses on these pieces of land as possible. So that means, and this is, you need to know this, that the lot sizes are not very big whatsoever. Now, if you're in a stage of life where that makes perfect sense, great. You don't have a huge yard to take care of. You have just enough to mow, but if you're looking for an acre, 2 acres, you're looking for space to spread your arms out, this probably isn't the neighborhood for you, and you need to know that. Don't go to one of these houses to go on a showing and look for space and then be frustrated that there isn't any there, because you're frankly just not going to get that. And as you could see, as we're having some of the flyover, you could see how close some of these homes are. Now there's pros to that. If you're a very social person, if you love being outside with your neighbors, if you have little kids that you want to be friends with the neighborhood and they're parking bikes in everyone's yard, well, this neighborhood may be for you. And I can tell you from experience, I have friends who live in these neighborhoods. That's exactly what happens. On Halloween in these neighborhoods, they go absolutely ballistic. It's an amazing time, some awesome core memories. But if your goal is to have space and a yard, this place may not be for you. So how many homes go in one of their neighborhoods? Now there's not a set amount that they put, but they generally, again, try to put as many as they can. There are anywhere from 100 to 200 homes. These homes are very tight, as you can see from the flyover. That's what you need to remember. The postcard stamp things, there's pros and cons to them. If you're very social, if you want to be out there, it would make sense. These neighborhoods are sometimes flat. Now there's one in Johnson City, Archers Point. There are some flat parts, but there are about 3 or 4 roads where it is straight up a hill. And you just need to know that. And again, if you have a realtor out here working on your behalf, they can do some street views. I remember I closed one for a client of mine, and I called them up and I was like, hey, I just want you to know that the slope of this house it's real. It's not a flat yard whatsoever. And so I think disclosure is very big. People need to know that the makeup of these neighborhoods, they do try to make them as flat as possible, but we're in Tennessee, there's rolling hills, and that may not always be a possibility. So we briefly touched on it, but the social opportunity for these neighborhoods is very great. A lot of people in those neighborhoods are walking around, they're mobile, they're getting around, they are communicating with their neighbors, they're walking their pets. There's a huge opportunity to get to know your neighbor, and in the South, that is a big thing. But depending on what neighborhood you live in, there sometimes may not be sidewalks, and that's the point to bring up. Now, of course, everyone knows that, so they drive safely, or at least they should. But there are different neighborhoods. If they're in city limits, sometimes they have them. If they're outside city limits in the county, they likely do not have sidewalks put in. Briefly, I'll touch on the HOA. So during the construction, the builder has a company manage the HOA. Once the neighborhood is complete, the builder turns over the HOA to the neighborhood. Now there is a set amount of subdivision restrictions, pretty much the same and generic for each neighborhood. They talk about what type of fences you could put up. They talk about what you can and cannot have on the property. They talk about if you can have outbuildings, and for each specific neighborhood, you need to find out what those specific deed restrictions are, because sometimes they may be different. But in general, I've seen that they are normally the same. Now, once the homeowners take over the HOA, that may change, but there are bylaws that state how changes to the HOA rules and regulations can be voted on and enacted. They can't just make a Facebook post and tell you, hey, by the way, now everyone can have cows in their yard. No, that's not how that works here. But there is due process, and things do change sometimes. And so that's why it's very important to know exactly what's going on. And if you're buying a resale in one of these neighborhoods, it's very important that you reach out and your agent reaches out and request the minutes from the most recent HOA meeting so you can see what is going on in the neighborhood and what may currently change. All right, so if you made it this far, we now have gotten into my clients' feedback or what they're saying about the neighborhoods that they have bought and lived in. So I asked 5 different questions of my clients, and I'll read the question to you and I'll give you the average score, the highest score, and the lowest score. Now remember, these are 7 different unique entries into this survey. So the first question was, how satisfied are you with your DR Horton home? Now throughout this process, there is one person who every time there was a question, their answers were the lowest score. The highest scores did vary by each person though. Not one person had the highest score the whole time. So basically the majority of this feedback was very up and down. Not one person was completely happy and not one person, other than the one person that gave the lowest score, was completely dissatisfied with everything. So again, the highest score to this question was 10, the lowest score was 3, the average was 7.1. So how satisfied are you with your DR Horton home? Of my clients surveyed, 7.1 were happy. Second question is, how would you rate the follow-up response of the DR Horton staff? The highest answer was 10 and the lowest answer was 3. The average was 6.6. So a little bit lower than the other one. These ones had a little bit lower scores. So the third question was, how satisfied were you with the DR Horton staff and subcontractors correcting the issues in your home? We were trying to get to the core of, when you did identify an issue, were they prompt? Did they do the right thing? Did they fix it? Did they have to come out again? So the highest score here was 10 and the lowest score here was 1. So for an average of 6.4. So this one, we have gone down. This was the lowest scoring one so far. The fourth question was, how would you rate the overall mechanicals of your home? And I made a note that if you had a lower score, that meant you had 1 or more major issues with the mechanicals of your home: windows, HVAC, hot water, electrical, plumbing, foundation, etc. The highest score was 9 and the lowest score was 2, and the average was right above 7. So again, we could see 6s and 7s are about the average for everything here. Last question we asked, and these are on a scale of 1 to 10, how likely are you to recommend DR Horton to a friend or family member? The highest score was 10 and the lowest score was 1. Now for these highest scores, not one person had the same high score every single time. But again, the same person had the lowest score every single time. So there was one client I had who was very dissatisfied, and there were other clients, however, who were satisfied or very satisfied with the various different questions that we asked. The overall average for answering this question, would you recommend DR Horton, was just over 7. Now again, I did want to reiterate, over the past 4 years, I have closed 7 homes with DR Horton. I did get 7 responses to the survey, and for written feedback, I did get 6 responses. Of those 6 responses, 3 were negative, 1 was right in the middle, and 2 were positive. So what I'd like to do right now is just read the feedback. Again, this is completely anonymous. I personally have no idea which client wrote which, but I did want to share it with you guys because, again, if you're looking, you need to know the feedback from people who have bought and lived there. So I'll just read this one verbatim. The staff are more than friendly. It's the contractors that they use, third party, that are really subpar. I know the newly very quickly built homes, you must expect issues. But when we submitted warranty claims to fix the things that I deemed unacceptable, I was told it was either my responsibility to fix the issues or that they wouldn't fix it because it wasn't their job. For example, they said a flooring person told me they couldn't fix a flooring issue. The customer care rep, Luke, was amazing, but he said DR Horton doesn't allow him to fix issues on his own, and he has to make the vendors fix the things. But the vendors didn't really want to fix anything. The home itself was what they needed at the time, however, and the price was impossible to beat. So again, the theme we're getting into is that you're not going to get a better quality overall home for the price, though we will not likely use DR Horton again for the next phase of life. But the best opportunity we had at the time was to move up in the world, and this was it. So the next feedback we have is from a client. This is what they said. My flooring is separating and my driveway and back patio cement is crumbling. Now again, I have no idea if they've reached out to people. I assume they have, but I did not ask any questions because, again, I don't know what clients have asked these things. So I'm sure DR Horton has a response. I'm sure the clients have a response. I'm just giving you the bare basic feedback they gave when I had asked the question. Please include any thoughts or feedback regarding your DR Horton home. So the third amount of feedback we had right here, we like our home and neighbors. DR Horton just lacks craftsmanship and professionalism at times. I'll read another piece of feedback. They are a good starter home that are more updated than other homes in its price point. We are satisfied with the quality of the home enough while still understanding there are pros and cons to these homes. In a market where a good home at a reasonable price is hard to come by, Our home has been a great option as a stepping stone to our forever home one day. So that's the second time there's a theme here that this was a very intentional purchase for the moment to get them to where they needed to be then, to help them get where they need to be in the future. Second to last client, this is what they had to say. The experience has been better than expected and we are happy. And the last piece of feedback we got from a client was they built these homes too quickly and used cheap materials. All right, so putting this all together, I want to give you my personal pros and cons. So based on all the information I gave you, the client feedback, the national customer concerns, the local customer feedback, everything, I'm going to give you my pros and cons. The number one pro we're going to talk about here is the price relative to the bedrooms, bathrooms, and square footage that you're going to get. You just cannot beat the home for the price. That's just the bare facts. The second pro is the availability and the location. They have move-in ready homes right now in locations where there are neighborhoods, there are people, it's easy to get to, and it's close to the things that you may need for your life, whether that be your job, grocery stores, the interstate, etc. The third part are the incentives from the builder. So whether that be the closing cost coverage, the rates, in general, the sales price is going to be really tough to beat. And the last pro I'm going to talk about is the neighborhood feel. You're going to be in a neighborhood with people, and if you have little kids like me, that is something that makes sense. Or if you're in a part of life where you do want to be around people and be social. Now, there may be people watching this video who have completely nixed these homes because they don't want to be around people. Completely understand that, and you can do that. You can be somewhat reclusive in the home. Completely up to you. I don't hear stories about people banging on your door, telling you, oh my goodness, it's so great to see you. That doesn't happen generally, but you're going to be around 100 to 200 people in these neighborhoods, so logic needs to apply to you. Okay, here's my list of cons. The first one is the craftsmanship and the quality. Not one person I talked to could confirm that there were no defects whatsoever. Now again, these homes are built, and I've built a new construction home. There were issues when I built it, and I did not buy DR Horton. That's going to happen. You need to understand that. You are not going to get a perfect home unless you yourself build it, and even then you may make a mistake. That's just going to happen. People make mistakes. Other people, if you're relying on them, the subcontractors, they're going to make mistakes. But that's going to be a con for me because you got to make sure you have eyes looking for it. And if you don't have the right person looking over it for you and helping you out, having a home inspector inspect it, you may have a larger opportunity for these issues to arise. My second con on the list is going to be the follow-up from the subcontractors. I think it plainly said in my client's feedback that was one of the most negative things they heard, was that there were issues, but there were a lot of people who would hear, hey, I'm not going to fix that. Frankly, that's just not going to cut it for me. And the last con I'm going to put on the list is the lot size. If you do want space and land and you don't want to be around people, that lot size is going to be a negative. Now, you may say, well, you put that as a pro. Yeah, absolutely, I did if it makes sense for you. But if it's also a con, because if you don't want to be around people, you don't want that postcard neighborhood feel, then yeah, that's going to be a con for you. It's all about what you want. This video is to be here, give the answers and the information you need to make the best decision for you and your family and everyone else affected by you purchasing a home. All right, we have made it to the end of the video. I hope you have found this video extremely informative. My goal is to bring forth answers to the questions you have about Northeast Tennessee. I'm DJ, I'm your local realtor. If you want to find out more information about the area, make sure you like and subscribe, check out our videos. We have another channel which is strictly devoted to local businesses, getting to know the owners in the area. Make sure you drop some comments, share it with your friends, follow us on social media, and we are so excited to help you guys relocate to the area.